Alrighty, so we are just a few hours away from the We Robot RoboTaxi event, and in this video I want to go ahead and just touch on what we're seeing in terms of the price action for Tesla stock in the broader markets, as well as just cover what my predictions are for the unveiling of this event and how Tesla stock may end up reacting. Now, we're looking at a couple of different things. Of course, if the event is a smash hit, then we're wanting to see Tesla close above this descending trend line, which has been prominent for the last 3 years. So we want to see a strong close above it. Now, if things are bad, then we may end up seeing Tesla stock break below this 230 area, and of course that would be bad news. Now, if we're taking a look at Tesla stock from a 15-minute time frame, I mapped out the 230 area as a great area to scoop up some shares just about a week ago, and we ended up seeing Tesla indeed just fall down today, touching it and bouncing right off of it perfectly. So definitely a good intraday play. However, I'm not holding this as a swing trade in the trading account. Of course, I do have Tesla in my long-term portfolio, but in the trading account, this was just an intraday trade. I'm not holding this trade idea of, I exited out as soon as it started bouncing up and I was in the profit, simply because this event could, if it goes bad and sour, end up bringing Tesla's stock significantly lower. Now, what did we end up seeing that caused Tesla stock to fall down? Well, I believe it was a combination of a couple of things, right? See, in the past, I mentioned how this was likely to be a buy the rumor, sell the news event, and how, we were going to see Tesla stock kind of rise up. And then we ultimately did see Tesla stock rise up towards the end of September, beginning of October, but end up pretty much falling downwards. And then today we see pretty much more selling pressure. And I believe that that's simply because a lot of market participants are taking off the risk. You kind of don't want to hold a position where you don't know if this is going to be an event that's going to be a huge failure. Now, we're going to go ahead and touch on what could lead this event to being a huge failure, but it wasn't just that I believe led Tesla to fall down. If we actually take a look at SPY, I mentioned within the Push and Profit private group that SPY was going to hit a new all-time high, even though it was trading sideways. In fact, let's go ahead and take a look from a daily time frame. We were in this sideways range over here, and then SPY ultimately broke out. So definitely very bullish news, little volume relative to price, so that means buying pressure is going to be amplified. And if we take a look, while we did kind of sell off today in the morning, we had some bad data, we're still holding up. So that's great news that we broke out of this range and we're actually holding up. Now, what was the bad news that we ended up getting? Well, from a macroeconomic standpoint, we had initial jobless claims and they surge, right? So jobless claims is the people applying for jobless benefits, and it surged much higher than what was expected. Now, this could be simply because of Hurricane Helene, the strikes, plant shutdown. So that all is factored in. So this could just be a one-time blip. And so we're still going to want to monitor the labor markets, as the labor markets, I often say, are the bloodline of the economy. And if jobs are not doing good, well, that could lead us to a recession. So that's why we're really closely parsing through the labor data, and we're not really paying attention to the inflation data. For example, we also did get inflation data that was a bit mixed. It came in a little hotter than expected. We had Wells Fargo mention how, the CPI came out hotter than expected, but they believe it's not enough to meaningfully change the outlook for U.S. inflation. And this is kind of where I stand as well. I believe that inflation is already kind of behind us, and we're not really looking at inflation anymore. It's really just the labor markets. And so that's why, although the markets kind of fell down in the beginning of the day, it's actually still pushing up, and we're looking like we're going to hit new all-time highs on the S&P 500. So definitely great news. And then one of the things I mentioned for those within the Push and Profit private group is when we're looking at the S&P 500 from a seasonality perspective, the bad is already behind us. We're in October, and October and November tends to be very strong months for the market, while September tends to be very volatile and historically a bad month. Now, does this mean that the stock market absolutely has to follow this? No, right? This is just what we're seeing from historical price action, and historical price action isn't indicative of future performance. But if we take a look at the SPY, we did indeed see, in September, pretty much a lot of pain. If we go, let's actually look at a 4-hour chart so you could kind of see this, right? So September, we ended up falling down pretty heavy, but towards the second half of September, we started bouncing up. So we had the volatility in the beginning of September, and then pretty much sideways for the end of it. And now we're in October and we're hitting new highs. So kind of in line with what we're seeing from a seasonal perspective. But, of course, that's just what we're seeing from a macro perspective, a technical perspective with the general markets. But let's go ahead and parse through Tesla. So what are the expectations that I kind of want to see, right? Well, here's what I believe we're going to see in the RoboTaxi event. And if we have some of these things, it could be extremely positive. For example, one of the things I mentioned was a new Model 2 or new vehicle kind of unveiled, right? The real star of the event should be a cheaper Model 2, new kind of concept of a vehicle coming out. Tesla needs a more affordable vehicle to drive up volume and hit growth targets. And so if there's no mention of that, well, then that could be a bit of a real bad sour taste to the event. And I believe if they do tease the Model 2, well, then that's great news, right? Introducing the Model 2 is kind of seen as critical for Tesla's future growth and stock performance. So if we get that, good news. If we don't, bad news. But again, this is a RoboTaxi event, and so what do I think we're going to see? Well, I think there's going to be short rides in the RoboTaxi without drivers or even a steering wheel. I believe that's very likely to happen. I believe there's going to be a kind of short test ride in the RoboTaxi without like a safety driver, but it's going to be in a very controlled environment. Right now, that's going to be good because it's going to demonstrate driverless rides, which could enhance Tesla's reputation as a leader in autonomous vehicles. And I actually want to highlight something right over here. Let's go ahead and take a look over here. We have Yahoo, which posted this image over here, this chart, and it says consumer confidence for RoboTaxi rises after riding in one. And we see anytime someone has ridden in a Tesla vehicle, right? Or even just a RoboTaxi, just RoboTaxis in general. So this isn't just in Tesla and Silo, but the confidence is pretty high. Now, for people who haven't ridden it, here's where we're at. And then, non-riders with cities that have those RoboTaxis, so meaning you haven't ridden in one, but you've seen them ride around, well, it's still pretty positive. But pretty much anyone that goes in these RoboTaxis, the experience is very high, and I believe that Tesla is likely to have a very positive reception as well. And so that's great news. Now, I believe that we're going to see Optimus come out in the event, and if we don't, then that's definitely a bummer. But there's this rumor that there's going to be this partnership with McDonald's, so we may end up seeing Optimus delivering McDonald's as part of the event. We may see kind of like someone going into this RoboTaxi vehicle, it drive up to a little McDonald's kiosk, and then Optimus deliver a bag of McDonald's during the demo. And that's going to show Tesla's robotic capabilities, which I'm extremely excited to see. We want to see, pretty much, and I believe it's kind of be a little bit of a controlled environment, the robotic segment as well, where we're probably going to have Optimus controlled by humans. It's not going to be fully functional on its own, I believe. But nonetheless, we want to see how it's walking because we've seen the Optimus walk before. It's a bit wobbly, so we're going to want to see improvements in that. But I believe that there's going to be this flawless event execution. The event is going to be tightly controlled, and this is due to avoid any technical issues. We're not going to have where Elon Musk threw a rock at the Cybertruck window and it breaking. I don't think that's going to happen. There's not likely to be any hiccups. And no hiccups will boost investor confidence in Tesla's technological prowess. So we're going to go ahead and want to just watch this event. Again, it's coming out just a few hours later. Now, as far as the RoboTaxi, here's where we'll probably have some people disagreeing with me, right? So I believe the RoboTaxi is not going to really be a threat until Uber or Lyft until 2027 or even 2028, where non-geo RoboTaxis may enter mass production. I don't think we're going to be seeing mass production right out the gate. I think that's a bit silly. I think that has like a long-term potential, but it's going to be a slow progress, and it may kind of disappoint some individuals, right? Because we have a lot of market participants who believe this is going to be revealed today, and that all the Teslas with FSD are going to be able to engage in this kind of network of being able to have your Tesla vehicle join as a RoboTaxi to gain this like revenue share. I don't think that's likely to happen. But we'll see, right? Again, there's a lot of hype around this event. We're seeing kind of already the markets do this dumping of selling the news, although that could also be partly with the macro data we got today with the labor markets kind of not looking too well. CPI kind of had a little bit of a hotter read, but we're still pushing upwards, so it may end up being just a flat day for Tesla before the ultimate reveal. But again, what we're really looking for in terms of, just the event and, looking at Tesla from a technical perspective, good events. We have, the new Model 2 kind of tease. We have robotics like Optimus shown. That's going to help Tesla break above this descending trend line and push upwards. No Model 2 revealed, and not much of kind of a good introduction of the Cybercab. Well, then we could easily break below this 230, and then we'll have to reevaluate what we're going to be seeing with Tesla, right? So we'll ultimately want to see. I'll definitely add into my position in my long-term portfolio if we break above this descending trend line and we have some positive news. I'll go ahead and provide an afterwards update as well. But as far as trading Tesla in the short term, I only took like a short-term intraday trade of taking it, bouncing off this area that we talked about a week ago. And it's still climbing up higher, but again, I already closed my position. You're not going to capture every move perfectly. I just wanted to make sure that I locked in some profits before, way before the event or any bad news comes up. But you guys let me know in the comment section down below, what are your thoughts for this event? And, where do you see Tesla stock going? Now, again, we are seeing the S&P 500 break into new highs, so a good event for Tesla would likely see Tesla follow along, right? But hopefully you guys got some, value in today's video. Before you go, make sure to check out the links in the description below, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Take care, guys.